Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the channel for part two of my two-part conversation with medium and author Cheryl Lynn Carter. If you haven't already, I hope that you will go and check out part one. What do you think of an orb? I mean, I've seen orbs, and I've seen and I was just talking about this the other night where I was out and we were snapping pictures, and there was a very, very light rain. And I had to dismiss every single photograph I took that had any kind of an orb in it at that point because it could have been the raindrops I was picking up.
Or the mold coming up from the ground that will make little spots
Yes,
too. Yes.
yes, they will. Um, but there are times where I've captured some that were unexplainable, in at least as far as I
Intelligent,
can
and they're
explain.
intelligent.
Yeah, and they move like the one we saw on Skinwalker Ranch again at Homestead too. What's your experience with orbs?
Well, I'm part of a CE5 group,
Ah, okay.
and I can't wait. We're going to go out in 2 weeks again. And
Really?
one thing that we utilize are singing bowls.
Mhm.
Now,
Well,
I
tell us
think
real quick, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about CE5. Now, I've heard of that. I don't know a whole lot about it, but for those who've never heard about, what is CE5, if you don't
okay,
mind?
I don't do the Stephen Greer thing, whatever he does.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we go out to this. We're up in Brighton, in the middle of nowhere,
Hmm.
and we get in a circle and we kind of meditate a little bit, and we usually have singing bowls, and those leave out a certain vibration.
Sitting bulls?
Singing bowls,
Oh, singing bull. Okay. Mhm.
yeah. Now, I don't know if you ever been in a room when somebody uses singing bowls, the whole room vibrates, your body vibrates, so it attracts things. So after we do that, we just kind of sit there and we observe. And
Mhm.
I always bring my equipment with me because I want to see what kind of readings I'm getting and all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
My cameras, everybody else is just sitting there. And we got there's woods behind us. And one night when the singing bowls were going, I'm looking at the woods, and all of a sudden it looked like somebody turned two flashlights on.
Really?
I know there's nobody down there. We were all alone. And it was probably 100 yards away. So
Mhm.
they looked almost basketball size. So they had to be
Wow.
pretty darn big.
Mhm.
And I got out my full spectrum, and I'm snapping pictures. And I don't know why I didn't do video. I was just excited that I saw those.
Mhm.
And they started moving back and forth, changing places, like they're dancing to the singing bowls.
Wow.
And I'm going, look over there. And people looked, and they go, eh. And they're looking up in the sky. I said, but something's happening here, guys. So we don't care.
Nobody else noticed it or wouldn't even pay attention to it?
Well, the guy next to me, we were watching, and the guy do the singing bowls, but nobody else cared. They're looking up in the sky. And I said,
Right.
well, maybe that's not a UFO, but that's something. So okay, so we're watching, and then all of a sudden, the one, the little the wiggly balloon guys that they have in front of stores to advertise.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah. They
yeah, okay.
blow it up and yeah,
Yeah,
bend
so
over and yeah.
one of them starts stretching up, and it was doing that, and that's why I wish I
Really?
would have been doing video. I did get a picture of it when it stretched up. Yeah, and then it went back down to the circle and changing places again. And the minute he stopped the singing bowls, it was like somebody turned the flashlights off.
Wow.
They didn't go away, they just turned off. Now, what was that? We don't know.
Interesting. And you said you had pictures of this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and were they elementals? Who knows what it was.
If they exist, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe. I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't know what it was, but it was intelligent. Those two lights were intelligent, whatever it was.
Yeah, because they weren't just stationary, they were moving around, and it like you said, it seemed
Yeah.
like they were moving around in tune to the vibration of the singing bowls, yeah.
Or at least reacting, because I said the minute he stopped, they were
They were
gone.
going. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I have, experienced orbs. I've seen them moving,
Hmm.
and then ever since, now we're getting some feedback. As a matter of fact, we're gonna be getting some interesting, I may have some interesting guests coming on the podcast soon that will talk about this in more depth. Um, and I really can't wait because I know that they exist, and I know that some could very well be intelligent
Mhm.
because of the movement.
Mhm.
It's a, and again, there was one captured at Homestead too that was
Mhm.
it moved intelligently,
Right.
like it was looking for something,
Mhm.
um, inside and outside of Homestead too. So, and they've seen, and we just captured one, something actually, I think it was a UAP that they just captured. It was on last week's show.
Yeah.
So that's another realm of an area which I think needs further investigation for sure.
Mhm.
So, man, so you're gonna be doing this again soon, you said?
Yeah, in 2 weeks, yeah, I'm
All right.
excited, yeah.
How many people are in this group, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, there's like, probably like 10 of us that are the regular core, but anybody can come.
Really?
So I hope we get a good group this time because it's whatever energy you're bringing to the team that night is gonna
Yep.
depend what you're gonna get.
And I love you just said that. I
Your
think that
intention, it's your intention.
exactly. I really believe
Yeah,
that's the case. And to me, I think that may be also the case that if Bigfoot exists, I think your intention may have a lot to do with whether or not you're going to see anything as well. But
yeah,
I do believe that as far as the orbs are concerned, because if you have a um, ill will, I'll put it. If you have ill will, or if you don't believe it at all, and
yeah.
then chances are you're not going to see anything at
Right,
all.
and why are you there? Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, because
You
I'm
just
a
prove it.
paranormal investigator, and that's the same thing. If you go to a location and you go, "Yeah, there's nothing here," or "Come on out, I demand you to come out," you're not gonna get any
Right.
attention that night. So it is because I mean, there was one night that we had, hate to say this, bunch of 20 somethings that they were coming there to be entertained.
Mm, yep.
Show us a UFO in the sky. Come on, produce something. And we were told, bring your bug spray, because boy, did the bugs come out.
Oh,
They right before the sun sets, and then after
oh
that
yeah.
they're gone. But yeah,
Mosquito 30. Yep.
oh yes, I always have my cutters because remember
Yep.
we're still in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so they didn't bring it, and the one guy kept slapping his face really hard. I'm going, it was, and then somebody else is over there munching on their bag of chips.
Oh yeah.
You
You
gotta
can't.
bring your food here,
Mm,
so I mean,
yep.
so did we see anything that night? No, nothing happened that night.
Right. And those people are like, see, told you, there's nothing to this.
That's what they did, and I go, it's kind of because you did that, yeah,
Yeah.
But if you got the right intention,
Hmm.
because then another night, right in our circle, now there should be no lights shining in the grass. I have pictures of 3 lights in the glass, and we're all going, "What is that?"
Really interesting. So, what do
Just
you think that was? What was your take on that?
I don't know. They just 3 lights just lit up like in a triangle shape
Interesting.
for a few minutes, and I go, "Well, better get pictures of this." We don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then now this is the crazy part. I had my tri-field meter out on the grass, and my friend had his tri-field out, and I got a picture of something was reaching over from his side and touching my meter.
Really?
It looked like a claw shape hand.
That would be a little unnerving. So was it affecting the tri-field meter? Was it
Oh
showing
yeah,
any response?
oh
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, he's right next to me. I got this big reading with this whatever this hand was, and his was doing nothing.
Mm,
And we're going, well, where is this thing that was reaching over? It's
wow. And you got a picture of that, you said?
yeah. So I mean, just when you're sky watching, don't just look in the sky. It's
Oh, absolutely no. No, no, no.
everything is coming to you.
Mhm. Yeah.
What it is, who knows? But
Yeah. And I think that, we were talking about that with perception, when you go out, and I think this is something that you talked about it as you grew up with um medium, being a medium, and how it will develop over years. And I think that goes the same way and I've been on many what I would used to call paranormal investigations. many of them, and I have the equipment. I've gone out with thermal cameras
Mm-hmm.
and night vision cameras and all the I don't have all the like the voice boxes and all that kind of stuff. Um, but I've done a lot with, and I like to use kind of old school means. But
I use a tape recorder,
yeah, so do I.
analog recorder. That's what I use.
Yep. And I've got digital recorders as well. And it's funny. I find more. I have a digital. Not. I'm sorry. I have a tape night vision camcorder that I use quite often, and I find that I catch more things, EVPs, voice phenomena on that.
On the tape, because as the tape is running through the machine, it's setting off white noise.
Yep.
Your
Exactly.
digital recorder does not do that.
Right. And I have actually copied most of the EVPs I've picked up have been on that rather than on my digital.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't even use digital because
Yeah.
I've had that happen. A person next to me gets nothing, and I got it, and they go, "What happened?" And I didn't really know at the time till someone told me
Right.
it was making white noise.
Well,
That's how
also,
spirits talk through the white noise.
right. And I think also with the magnetic tape,
Right.
that process is
Right.
picking up somehow. I don't know. I wish I could explain that better, but I think it has to do with that magnetic tape
Right.
and how the recording is taking place within the unit itself.
Hmm.
And it is more susceptible to picking up those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah, I have. But my thoughts on paranormal, it used to be that it was like most people would say, spirits of people who've passed or something like that. My perception on that has changed. I had an opportunity to talk to John Safis um, when we were in Detroit. There was an event going on in Detroit. To me, the paranormal side of it, the investigation side, was pretty much tossed out the window. There were some interesting things that happened, but there were simply too many people.
Yeah,
And
that's that you can't have a big
you
group of
can't.
people.
You
No,
just
no.
can't do a serious investigation when there's that many people around because it just taints everything. People are
Right.
breathing or whispering or whatever.
Yeah.
Because when I go out and do that, I tell people, don't whisper. If you're going to say something, say it out loud.
And they
Say it-
whisper every
Yeah.
time.
Because a whisper can be picked up and you go, oh, am I hearing something? When in
Yeah,
fact, it's somebody in the
exactly.
group whispering.
Exactly.
Speak it out loud. Don't ever
Yeah.
whisper. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm of a belief now, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm of a belief now that I'm looking at this rather than being some sort of a spirit of someone who has passed. I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe it has something to do with what we may be around us all the time that we can't
Exactly.
hear, see, smell, touch, or feel.
Exactly. Exactly. I've investigated with John Zaffis. He's a hoot. Oh.
Yeah, I have too. I've had the opportunity, and yes, he is.
Yeah,
Very, very.
we investigated Waverly Hills. That was fun.
Did you really? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be a great. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a good place. Yeah, he's an interesting gentleman. And
yeah,
in our conversation, I asked him if it was if his thoughts on that. That it wasn't that, at least at that time, that's just about the time I was starting to think that maybe everything we're seeing is not spiritual, that it might be actual two different dimensions in that particular
yeah,
place and time that were coinciding with one another. And we were seeing, I heard you mention one time on a podcast that you had said something about, about we see them as maybe
I was just gonna say that.
a
Yeah,
movement or something, a weird apparition-y type thing. How do they see us? Talk about that a
yeah.
second.
What I says when I investigate, you hear people go, anybody here? And then I mean the spirits are all looking at each other. You want to tell them? I don't know. You want to tell them? So they're not going to answer.
All
You
right.
know. So I
Yeah.
I just I ask questions. That yeah, my favorite one is, which I think that there are all different dimensions around us at all times. And you could be speaking at someone in real time in this other dimension.
Right.
And even when we die, where do we go? Do we go to another dimension? Is that where heaven is? In another dimension?
Yeah, I don't know.
Parallel dimension. And so I always say, okay, I have a question for you. I don't know if anyone's asked you before. I said, you look like you're see through to me. I said, how do I look to you? Do I look see through to you? Maybe
Interesting.
they're solid on the other side.
You're right.
they've never answered me, but maybe they can't tell me that.
Maybe not.
But
But
I still ask.
that's an interesting question to ask.
Yeah, maybe
Uh,
they're solid in the other world.
maybe. And maybe you look like a ghost to them.
Exactly.
Some sort of an apparition or a shadow figure or something like that. But that's exactly what I think. And I'm really starting to get away from the whole spirit of somebody who's passed type of
Right.
thing, and more along the lines of some sort of a connection or a place where two dimensions, if you want to call it that, are bleeding over,
Right.
just for that moment in that time.
Right.
Maybe there's a places where that happens quite frequently because of the conditions of that place. I was going to say atmospheric, but maybe not. Maybe magnetic or something in the earth causing different types of
Yeah.
like skinwalker, the basin,
It's
the
it's a little it's a little thinner there where they can
exactly.
something like that. Yeah. I don't know if
Exactly.
thinner is the right word to use.
Well, I know what you meant
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That veil is a little thinner that
Yeah.
where it could be lifted. And I went out, just speaking of lifting the veil, when I was at Phenomicon last year, on the very first night they had a special event. I think it was on Wednesday night, actually, before it even started. April Slaughter, who used to work with the ghost hunters, she had an event out in one of the it was an old hotel that's closed down there in Vernal. And I went to that. And it was interesting, and I got a little bit of chance to talk to her about some of the things that that she has experienced over her life. And she wrote a book called "Lifting the Veil." I think it's called "Lifting." I actually have it. In that book and in that investigation that we did, um, we tried, but there are certain people, I think, and I guess this was the point I was getting to, is that there are certain people, maybe like yourself, who they're more open
Hmm.
are open to accept it. And then you mentioned it earlier, having the right frame of mind and the right, thinking about things the right way. You're not there to stir up anything. You're there to observe and you're open to anything that might come. And I think that she may be as well. And over time, when we do these investigations, I think that we become, if you are truly with a good spirit going into this, you become more open and things are more likely to happen around you.
Well, and the spirits and the entities can
Mhm.
feel if you're being respectful or not,
Right,
and
right.
they'll respond.
Mhm.
Because when we would go to a location, people again tell me I'm weird. I would walk in and I'd say, I know we didn't call ahead of time. I hope it's okay that we just dropped by. And they're just looking
Exactly.
at me like I'm nuts. And I said, we just walked into someone's home.
Right. Or
Do you
realm
just
or whatever, yeah.
right, right. Do you just walk into your friend's house?
No,
And do you say you walk in and you say, could you knock on the wall and let me you're here? Let me know you're here. I said, do you do that at your friend's house?
right,
And they think I'm crazy. I said, well, okay, but then during the night they get no responses, and I do.
right. Exactly.
I go, you don't treat it like it's a game. You having a conversation with someone.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that, and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's important too. But I think that also over time, you talk about even the hitchhiker effect. And
Hmm.
I had a conversation with someone just the other night on a podcast about that. The hitchhiker effect, talking about, oh, okay, you go to a place and you open yourself up to be to the paranormal, if you want to call it that, or
Hmm.
to the other realms, if you want to
Hmm.
call it that. But then all of a sudden you go home and now something's happening at home around your family. And I wondered if it's possible, and I want you to get your take on this, that rather than it being a hitchhiker effect, that when somebody goes to that and they get an experience, that now they're opening themselves up a little bit and being more susceptible to things coming in. So rather than taking something home with them, they're now experiencing something at home that was always there,
Exactly.
but they weren't open to it. What do you
Exactly.
think about that? Is that
Well, and another thing, whenever I leave a location, I say it was nice communicating with you, but you can't follow me home. You have to stay here. And there's very few people that do that.
right?
And they'll say something followed me home. And I says, well, did you tell it that it couldn't? Well, no. And I said, well, then it liked you and it wanted to follow you home. It's not like it's being mean. It liked you.
So you do believe in the hitchhiker effect, that something can follow you home.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever called it a hitchhiker, but yeah, something could. Well, I had something follow me one time,
Really? Do you mind talking about that?
and it's a place that I go to a lot. I
Hmm.
think that's the one night I didn't say that you can't follow me home.
Ah,
I think
yep.
that's one. But it was there's a man down in the basement in this place, and he was murdered. Somebody hit him over the head and stole his whiskey. But I don't. When I would go there, I wouldn't talk about that
Mhm.
because I saw how he died and I could see how upset he was, and I would just have conversation with him. And so he would hug me. You could feel when a spirit hugs you.
Mhm.
And I actually got a picture of him, like his shadow on the wall on my floor.
Really? Nice.
And he won't let anybody else take a picture, but he'll let me do it. And one night he followed me home. Now, I didn't know he followed me home till one of my psychic friends says, "There's some guy in your bedroom at night, and he's covering you up and touching your hair." And I go, "Ew."
Yeah. Well, freaky.
And it was him, so I had to have a talk with him. I told him he had to go back.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't want you doing that. I'm a little uncomfortable with you
But
doing that.
see how
I'm gonna
something just liked you. See, it wasn't nothing bad, but
Mhm.
it can happen.
Right. Wow. One of the other things that you talked about, that I remember talking with you about a little bit in Vernal was that you also are a historical researcher. Tell us a little bit about that side of it. What types of history in that respect
Well,
are you
whenever somebody goes to investigate somewhere, they just go there. Okay, I want to know everything about this location.
okay, yep,
You know what? What's its history? Was there a building here before this building was here?
right.
Or what was here before this building was ever built? You need to know those things so that when you're trying to communicate with whatever's in the building, that you can ask the right questions.
Makes sense. Yep,
If you
absolutely.
want to have a conversation with you, you have to ask the right questions.
Mhm.
And there's one place that I go to a lot in Ohio. It's Post Town Elementary,
Mm.
and before that school was ever built there was a big train wreck.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't too far away. It was like in their backyard. Two trains collided on the 4th of July.
Mm,
And so they had actually laid all the bodies down on the ground there.
mhm.
And I think a lot of spirits in that school are from the train.
Wow.
And that's what you need to know, your history there.
Mhm,
And there was actually a little boy there that was from the train. He was down in the basement, stuck in the hallway for some reason,
mhm.
which you have to know. And the first time, this is where I'm talking about the recorder thing. I went outside at exactly the same time of day. Sometimes that helps. If there was an accident, you try to recreate it. So I went out and I put my stethoscope on, and I says, "I'm a nurse. Does anybody here need any help? Anybody from the train need help?" And my friend had her digital recorder. I had my analog. I got so many EVPs. She got nothing. She's standing right next to me. Nothing.
Mhm.
And there were people from the train talking to me.
Wow.
Like somebody says, "I'm here to help too. There's somebody over there." And then the saddest one was, "Daddy, I'm dead."
Mm,
And that
wow.
was that little boy down in the basement.
Wow. So let me expand on that just or ask you to expand on that just a moment. Now, I was talking to you about how I felt about the spirit world. Obviously, in this case, with that there, you must believe that those are the spirits of those who perished on that train or were
Yeah,
involved in that
those
train
were,
wreck.
yeah.
So, are they stuck? Why would they still be around? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know why the little boy was there, because there were two other spirits keeping him there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, why those other people were outside talking to me, that's a good question. I mean, it was intelligent what they were saying, because I was asking for names, and somebody was giving me her name.
Oh, wow.
I don't. Are they stuck? Do they want to stay there? I don't know. I don't know why they were still out there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There's
he was being held captive,
mhm.
but we took care of that.
There's a show that that's good. How did you take care of that?
Huh? Well, he didn't know he was dead.
Right.
And how do you tell a 5-year-old boy that he's dead? You don't, you'll scare him.
If he even understands what that means.
Yeah, but you don't want to scare him because you want him to talk to you.
Right.
People would come there with little toy cars. Look, he's playing with them. No, this is cruel. And so my friend and I went down one night, and I says, we gotta help him leave. He can't stay here. And so we didn't know about someone was keeping him there. We were just trying to help him move on. And I says, you see that little bridge over there? See all the sunshine on the other side? I says, I think your mommy and your sister are having a picnic over there. You like hot dogs? I think they got hot dogs. We're just having this little conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, come on, it's okay. I don't know. I said, yeah, they're having hot dogs. Don't you want to go over and join them? It's the 4th of July, right? And he finally went, but you got to, do certain things like that.
Right.
When people say send somebody to the light, you can't. They have to choose.
Right.
We have free will. You can't send somebody to the light.
Right.
But we helped him find his way. We didn't say go to the light. That would have scared him too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a television show that I like to watch. I don't know if it's still on anymore, but Amy Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something similar to what you go through? Do you think?
I don't see demons like she sees.
Oh, I would want to.
Yeah, that's all she talks about, and I go, come on, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get all worked up like she does. I don't know.
Yeah. That would be very hard. I think that something like that, like you've described, even takes a special person. I think not only to be able to perceive that and be part, to work in that realm, but also to be able to handle what you're seeing and feeling.
Yeah.
After the fact. I talked about that earlier, asking you the question if that was something that you know carry with you, the after effects of some of the things that you've seen doing the remote viewing, finding the missing people, if they're being tormented in some way, how would that affect you coming out of that?
You just feel so good afterward that you helped them.
Yeah.
You do.
That is, but because you're going to see some things that are going to be very
I've seen
disturbing.
terrible things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said,
spirits like to show me how they died.
I wouldn't want to go through that.
So
yeah.
Well, because nobody was there, and they want somebody to know how they died. Okay. When I was writing the book, digging into Skinwalker Ranch, I wanted a remote view to the ranch, to see what I could see there. This is way before the TV show or anything.
Right.
So I didn't know anything about the place. And the first thing I saw was I saw a woman, maybe 20 years old, and she's holding a baby in her arms. And I looked closer, and I could see the baby was dead.
Oof.
And she looked right in my eyes. She saw me. And she said, "Medicine woman, save my baby." And I go, "I can't save your baby." About, "Why'd you call me medicine woman?" Is it because I'm a medium? And it in her mind, it was like a medicine woman. And so I couldn't. I said, I can't help you. And then I saw her walk up to the top of the mesa, and she buried him up there. So then I saw a stream, and there was a beaver dam and 2 beavers. And there was a native man standing there. And I said, well, he sure looks familiar. And I go, how could he look familiar? And then I realized that when I go to Sweat Lodge, this man has been appearing to me for 7 years at Sweat Lodge.
Oh, wow. The same person.
I didn't know what Skinwalker Ranch was at that time.
Wow.
And I said, what the heck? And he keeps pointing to the east. He wants me to see something in the east, but I don't know what. And I go, okay. And then after that happened, I don't know, maybe a month later, I'm just sitting by my computer, and all of a sudden I see like, I don't want to say shadow person. It was something in the shadows.
Hmm.
And I go, what is that? And I felt, here we go again, that was interdimensional, whatever it was. And I knew it was from Skinwalker Ranch.
Wow. I mean, what told you that? Was it the feeling or
I
the things you
just know.
saw?
I just knew.
Okay.
I just knew. And I knew it wasn't a spirit. It was something.
Hmm.
And then I looked and I says, oh, it's not a shadow person, because then I saw like these big eyes. And I
Yeah,
go,
and shadow people, you don't normally see eyes, at least from my
no,
experience.
it like stepped out of the shadows.
Wow.
And it started downloading binary code in my brain.
Really?
Yeah. And I go, no, don't do this. No, it's okay. It's talking telepathy to me. It's okay. I said, but I don't understand. Well, you will. Well, to this day, I do not understand why I got this, what I'm supposed to do with it.
Do you know what so you don't understand what the message meant either, right?
No.
Wow.
And what am I supposed to do with it? Why did you give me this?
At some point, it probably will. That point hasn't come yet.
That's what he said. He says, you will when you get here. Yeah, okay.
When
So
you get
then
here.
last year at Phenomicon, my friend took me down to the stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we got out, I heard the same voice saying, pick up that rock.
Oh, wow.
And my friend looked at me. I said, yeah, the binary guys told me to pick up a rock. And we both start laughing because, we're standing on a gravel road there. I said, okay. So I looked and it's just gravel. So I saw this rock that was like an oval shaped flat.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's interesting. So I picked it up and the voice said, not that one. I know. And I'm laughing. I go,
Like,
oh,
Debbie, come on, not that one. I was talking about
not a
Angel.
funny spirit here. Okay. I said, all right. So I put it in the pocket. I said, give it to one of my friends. So I found another one that looked like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked it up and it was vibrating in my hand.
Really?
And the voice said, the binary code has been activated. Yeah, okay. I still don't feel enlightened. I still don't know what.
Even to this day now, you still don't know what it was. Okay.
I guess it'll come. But
It
when I
will.
came
Yeah.
home, I put it on the ground out on my driveway where there's nothing around with my tri-field meter, and it registered up to a 4.
Wow.
It's a rock. What's in this rock that made it?
Interesting.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to have the rock analyzed by experts, but I wouldn't even know where to begin to do something like that.
Well,
But
and I don't want somebody to break it because I don't
right.
think they'd be happy if I broke the rock. I don't know
Right.
why.
Wow. I think I'd be testing it with just like everything I could find.
Well, I
Well,
said that's all I did was the tri-field meter. I
right,
said,
right.
it's something.
Yeah. Let's see if it's magnetic. It's not magnetic in any way or
No,
anything like
I
that.
tried a magnet on it. Doesn't know.
Wow. Interesting. Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
but there's something in there.
Maybe take your analog recorder and take it to another room and set it up and just let the analog recorder sit next to it and you leave it like if you're going out for the night or go
That's
to bed
interesting. That's
and let it
interesting.
see if it
Yeah,
picks up anything from the rock. That'd be a
yeah,
test. Yeah.
that's interesting. So yeah, so this is the crazy thing. I called my friend yesterday. I had to tell him as soon as I found it. I'm writing my book, and I went through my computer, and I was looking for a special folder, and I says, "What's this?" I go, what's this little thing? I don't even remember writing it. It was from December of 2021.
Hmm.
And it says Astral project to Skinwalker Ranch. And I said, what? I don't remember this. So I opened it up, and I must have done this, when I was sleeping. I remember, because I wrote it all down. And I astral projected to Skinwalker Ranch, and I saw this man there, and he put a rock in my hand. Is this crazy? Is this crazy?
Wow.
And he says, now you will know. See, just like when I picked up the rock and I said, okay, this happened a year before that.
Hmm.
And now the same thing happened. They put the rock in my hand, said, you will know. So
You got something crazy coming.
Is it? It's something scary. I can't believe I found that yesterday. I don't remember typing that up.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
I
And what is
typed it
that?
up so I wouldn't lose it, and for some reason, I was supposed to find that yesterday.
Hmm, that's truly interesting. Wow.
So maybe my rock wants to talk to me today. I don't know.
There's no coincidences.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so anyway. I'm one
But
of
why
those
me?
people that don't believe that.
Why me? I'm 1,600
Well,
miles away. Why me?
well, because like you said before, I think that you're open to that. Some, you know, and again, we're taking a large leap there, even by talking about that sort of thing. But if I think that if there are entities that want to communicate, they're going to find someone who is open for that
Yeah,
communication.
yeah.
Not everyone is. Most people are not, probably. So they're going to find somebody that's open for that and utilize that person, whether that person is close or miles or, hundreds of thousands of miles away.
Mm.
They're going to use the person that they feel that's open to it, I think, personally.
Well, I said that the native guy was already coming to me in Sweat Lodge for years, so
Yep. Yeah,
there was
exactly.
already some kind of connection.
Yep.
But
Wow.
the binary code, it's like because I'm the new book I'm writing. One of my chapters is about Rendlesham Forest.
Oh, wow. Neat.
Where James
Mhm.
Peniston got the binary code, and I says,
Yep.
"Well, I don't feel so bad now. We both have it."
Mm. Have you do you have it in such a way you could write it down?
I can see it when I close my eyes. I never wrote it. I'm going to try to write it down. I can still see it when I close my eyes.
Be interesting and see what it says.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, if you can see it when you close your eyes, try to I don't know how somebody would do that, but if you can, that'd be an interesting experiment to see, write it down as best you can
I
and
don't
then
even know
see.
how to read binary code.
Well, neither do I. So maybe if there's a message there,
I'm sure there's a message in there. Yeah,
maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Maybe you're supposed to write it down. He's like
yeah,
waiting. Come on, when is she going to get around to writing this down?
yeah. Come on, quit writing those books and do so.
So what's the book you're working on now?
It's called Chosen.
Okay.
It's about UFO encounters and abductions.
Wow.
Yeah,
Are you familiar with Chris Bledsoe and his book?
yeah.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've read
Interesting.
it. Yeah, it was very interesting. I don't know, and as a Christian, you think about, well, obviously, even like my sister, I mentioned that to my sister, who's also Christian, and she, as soon as I said UFO of God, she was like, because you don't put UFO and God together in the Christian world, you just don't do that. So then reading his book, then I was like, okay. And I'm not going to get into talking about that too much on the show here because people need to go read the book if they're interested. But UFO of God. So, but that whole premise is quite interesting. And it's something that I was not ready to, I'd never read anything like that before. And my brain is still trying to process exactly what I did read. And so I'm hoping to get a chance to speak with him about that. So,
Yeah,
but
I just got more as I'm writing the chapter. I just got more questions.
mhm,
And like I was telling my friend yesterday, I said, I just realized something. When he encountered he was the security for
mhm,
the two bases. When he encountered this craft, he had his camera with a roll of 36 black and white film,
mhm.
and he was taking pictures of it before he got close to it. What happened to that camera? What happened to that film? We've never heard what happened to that film.
Nope. It was
He took
confiscated.
pictures of this craft.
Mhm.
Yeah, what happened to that?
Yeah.
It's not in his book. There's nothing in his book about what happened to the film.
Hmm.
I go, wow.
Did somebody take it from him, or is he
Oh,
just not
I'm
gonna show it to
sure
him?
they did because they
Mhm.
interrogated him the next day, and they gave him sodium pentothal to make him talk.
Right.
And
Hmm.
when he finally did a hypnotic regression years later, they found out that he had a missing time. And she goes, well, we have to do this again because there's something happened to you at Bentwaters in the UK. She goes, what happened there? And so he's telling her, and she goes, okay, tell me what happened after you touched the craft and got the binary code. No, can't talk about it. She goes, no, what happened? No, not allowed. She goes, well, who said you can't? Them. She goes, somebody from the craft? No. The people at the base. Because he saw there was a man there in a dark suit too. A man in black, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she says, well, what do you see? He goes, can't. What? Why? Nursery rhyme. She says, what? I see a nursery rhyme. What's that? Mary had a little lamb as fleece the white as snow. They put that in his brain.
Hmm.
They took something out of his brain that he's not supposed to tell anybody, and they put that nursery rhyme in there.
Wow.
Our government. There you go.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what really happened in those 45 minutes that he can't account for?
Wow. If somebody could dig that out.
Well, they know, but
You're right. Yeah. Somebody
yeah.
knows because he obviously talked about it.
And
And now he
then
can't remember.
the craft that he described, I mean, you're seeing the Air Force with triangular black crafts now, and we all see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he described.
Yep. Now
So
that I remember. Yeah.
yeah, so he's got pictures of this.
Mhm. Had. Or
Yeah,
maybe
well,
he still does. Who knows?
government. No, they took his camera. No,
Probably. Yeah.
no,
Wow.
no,
That is a very interesting case.
isn't
That's
it? It's
to me,
just
that's almost better than Roswell, I think.
oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because yeah, quite interesting. Because there were several witnesses and yeah, to that whole story. That's a crazy one.
Because that's what I'm doing in this book. I'm not just telling the story. I'm bringing out the human aspect.
Hmm.
You know, how did these people feel? What happened to them after the incident?
Hmm.
Did they go on and have a normal life? No.
No, probably not possible.
Well, and I found hypnotic regressions from these people. It's
Right?
scary just reading those.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
So when is the book going to be done? You think?
Oh, I was hoping this month, but I don't know.
It's called Chosen. All right. So you're gonna
Yes.
have to let me know
Hmm.
uh, when you're ready or when it gets released. I'd like to have you come on and talk about it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for joining us here at the JFree906 podcast for our part 2 with Cheryl Lynn Carter. We hope you will join us again for other broadcasts as they come online.